Welcome to Meet the Candidate 2021. My guest for this interview is Zack Zappone from the Spokane City Council race. Welcome, Zack.
Thanks for having me.
Meet the Candidate is a get acquainted every year with new voters come on board and they need to meet the candidates. And we start with the real simple questions like, tell me about where you grew up.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. I grew up right here in Spokane, in the district that I'm running in now. Moved around a couple times, 3 elementary schools in 3 years, but then landed in Indian Trail and went to North Central High School, just like my grandpa who grew up on Maxwell in Northwest Spokane too.
So we've got some deep Spokane roots there.
Yeah.
Hey, well, so after that education in the Spokane schools, what did you do for any further education or training?
Yeah, so after I graduated from North Central, I went to Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. There, I was only one of 3 students from all of Eastern Washington, and my roommate was one of 22 boys from one private school in New Jersey. And so I didn't think that really was a fair opportunity for a lot of folks. So I decided to be a teacher, moved back to Eastern Washington, and became a teacher and taught in a high-poverty school in the Tri-Cities. And there I just saw a lot of inequalities in our community outside of the classroom that impacted what educators were doing. So I left the classroom and got my master's degree in public policy from Princeton and studied urban planning, and I've worked in urban planning and policy now in public health too. So a little bit of everywhere.
A little bit of everywhere. Before that adult work history, what kind of jobs did you maybe have as a kid that gave you an idea of the world of work?
Yeah, it first started off, mowing lawns and helping out, helping my dad at his work, an IT job. But then my first real paychecks were coming from McDonald's right here on Indian Trail. Worked there up through college and started right there as on the grill, like a lot of other folks, learning a lot about how to work hard, make sure, if you got time to lean, you got time to clean. And that's kind of the attitude I still take today with my life is I'm not going to sit around and watch TV all night and play video games. I've got stuff to do to make our community a better place.
A lot of people get that first experience there, and it's a good one. I've heard a lot of good stories. When you were teaching, what was your area of expertise?
Yeah, I was a 7th and 8th grade English and history teacher, so it was a combo class. And then I started a bunch of clubs after school for at-risk students, including a mock trial club, a youth legislator club, and a trip to Washington, D.C., because I think that's a really important, impactful lesson is for students to learn civics and learn how government works. That way that they can take those lessons back home and get involved in their community and participate in our democracy.
I often ask candidates about travel experiences they've had and what they've learned from them. When taking those students back to Washington, D.C., is there a particular aha moment that you remember in their eyes?
The ahas, make sure you always have groups of 3 because you might lose a kid at the Lincoln Memorial. That's a scary moment.
That's a good plan.
Yeah, but beyond that, I think actually one of those trips was what really stood out to me as why I wanted to go into politics and get involved in policies, because I took my students there and they did a mock Congress and the students were debating bills, and these were bills that impacted them as low-income kids. And they would, during the process of debating the bills with kids all across the country, my students were really quiet. They didn't feel like they had a voice. And so they would come up to me during breaks and be like, Mr. Zappone, like, they're talking about us and they don't know what they're talking about. And I'm like, you got to use your voice and share that because no one else is going to speak for you in that room. And that really just showed me that the problem with a lot of decision making and policy making goes to who's in the room. Are they there being able to share their voice? What information are we looking at? And the whole process is challenging for people who don't have the skills to access that. And I think it goes beyond education, but creating a whole system that fits that way. So a big moment that really crystallized to me during a mock trial Congress. I actually even wrote about it in my application essay. Is that moment is very precise to me.
That's one of the ways that you can really learn a lot more about yourself is when you're trying to teach others and you're mentoring others.
Yeah.
Well, that really sounds like you also answered the question of what inspired you to run for public office, because it was that trip.
Well, that was the thing that got me involved in politics and policy in general. I didn't originally think I was going to run for office. I thought I would be a policy advisor to people. I didn't really want to go put myself out there. That's intimidating, scary work. Instead, I really wanted to be the person that was doing the research, looking at best practices, thinking of doing the outreach to talking to our community groups, and thinking about what's the best policy and most efficient policy to make our community a better place.
Okay, so then what triggered that?
So what happened?
What took you out of the back room into that, being out front?
Well, then it started last year. There was a pandemic, and I just looked and said, what are our current representatives doing? And I didn't agree with what they were doing and thought I had the skills to make a difference and put that policy forward that wasn't being put forward. And so I decided to jump into a race last year and still think I have the skills to build upon that to make a big difference in our community. And that, I think, is a unique skill set that I have to put forward.
Okay, well then, this is the time for that last question to ask you, answer the question for voters. Why should they vote for Zack Zappone for Spokane City Council?
Yeah, well, I first always ask for everybody's vote. I would be humbled to receive your vote. I think I am a candidate with a unique background, experiences, and skills to solve the unique challenges of Spokane right now. We're facing extraordinary growth problems, and we are looking at what do we want the future to be in our city. I'm the only candidate in this race who has worked in urban planning, who is connected to our community. As a teacher, I see these issues in our most needy schools, and I have the work ethic to go above and beyond, research those best solutions, find the answers, do the outreach in our community to put forward the best policy solutions to make our community a better place. And that's why I ask for voters' votes.
Okay, well, thank you for coming in today, Zack, and it's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Good luck.
What does it mean to be awake? It means to truly understand the issues facing us and actively participate as a citizen in this country. One way you can do that is by voting your values, based on the Word of God. We believe We Vote has done the research and provides you the information you need to make an informed decision on which candidates will champion our values and work for us. Now is the time to rise up, get involved, and vote. WeBelieveWeVote.com.
Hello, Spokane. This is Governor Mike Huckabee. I'm going to be speaking at We Believe We Vote's October 2nd fundraiser. It's more important than ever for Christians to come together and to vote. I'm looking forward to seeing you on October the 2nd of this year. For tickets to the event, go to WeBelieveWeVote.com.